Calista. I'm a sophomore at Meridian High, and you're listening to the West Ada Podcast.
On an average day, I would say we have between 150 and 250 teachers out. And of that, the average number I would say is anywhere from 20 to 25 unfilled teaching positions. Today was really low. It was a good day. It was only like 5 unfilled.
Wow. Oh my gosh, wow.
So
you've got balls in the air every day. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest edition of the West Ada Podcast. We are so glad that you are here to watch or to listen and be a part of this conversation because, as usual, we've got two just outstanding colleagues today.
I mean, I know we sound like broken records, seriously, but we really do have the best people at West Ada. Today we get to speak with Renée Senander. She's our Chief Human Resource Officer. And then we have Carolyn Olson, and she's our Sub-Placement Supervisor. And they do very important work here, and we're so grateful to be able to talk to them.
Hugely important. And Renée, it's funny, she was talking about it, she started at some little university named Stanford. Maybe you've heard of it, but she's in this, only 6 months in this role, but she's doing an amazing job.
She's made huge changes already in just 6 months, and it's so impressive.
Well, and Carolyn's been here for about 8 years, since 2017, and she's kind of grown her career and navigated. So to get her perspective has been pretty cool as well.
Yeah, and it's fun. I mean, Carolyn used to be on our team, on our communications team, so it's been fun to see her career grow and support her along the way and into this, bigger career role that she's just really flourishing in.
It's pretty cool. Well, we are so glad that you are here today. If you're even remotely thinking about being a sub or working at West Ada, where we do love where we work, I think you're going to find this conversation super informative. We're glad you're here. Let's get to it.
Well, we are here with two of our, again, amazing colleagues. It's always fun to have you guys here. Yeah. Renée and Carolyn, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, great to have you guys here. I mean, let's just kind of jump into background stuff. I mean, Carolyn, you've been with West Ada since 2017. How did you get? You're currently our sub-placement director, coordinator. Mm-hmm. How'd you get here? What's kind of your background in West Ada?
So prior to West Ada, I came from a banking background, but I was tired of fighting for corporate holidays and things like that. Wanted a better work-life balance for my family. So I applied here and I started as the support for head of school counseling and nursing. Yeah. I was there for about 3 years, and then I took a position with the West Ada Education Foundation, supported them for another couple years, and then this job opened. So gave it a try, and here we are.
And the best part about this job is you get to get here at 5 a.m.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I remember having that conversation with you when you were thinking about this position. Like, I can do it. I can transition to those early mornings.
I like the early mornings. Feel like I get up, get it done.
Yeah. Probably so quiet too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Nice.
and that's super important because you're placing subs. So when those sick calls come in, you have to be here to make sure those holes are filled.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's huge. Well, Renée, you've only been here for 6 months.
6 months.
Huge role though, Chief Human Resource Officer. You got a lot on your plate.
I sure do.
Tell us your background. How did you get here?
Oh gosh. So I actually started in higher education. So I started with Stanford University. Transitioned over to the public sector and worked for Sonoma State University. And then from there, stayed in public sector, worked for a local municipality for City of Healdsburg. And then 6 months ago, wound up here. And I'm loving every minute of it.
Welcome to West Ada.
Everyone keeps me busy.
Right? Yeah, and we're so lucky to have you, and your broad experience in human resources is such a benefit to all of us. And 4,500 employees. Yeah. That's a lot of people to help with all the HR things.
It is. And I am a proud mama too, a West Ada mom. So.
Oh gosh.
Yep. And Carolyn, you're a West Ada mom.
West Ada mom. I went through West Ada. Been here a long time.
I love West Ada. We always talk about, Katie and I do, that we're parents. And so that's kind of what the podcast is about. Like, how do we help our parents? How do we help our teachers and students and everyone navigate? Because it's a big system. And so anyway, we appreciate what you all do. It's great to have you here. Yeah.
And on that note, being a big system, recruiting, that's a lot of positions to fill at any given time. Like, we probably have, X number of openings, right?
Yes.
And so what do we do? What kind of strategies do we have? What kind of teammates do we have in place for recruiting enough staff to keep our schools running?
Totally. I always look at it first from the strategy of we want to be the place to work in the region. We want to position ourselves as the employer of choice. We want people to want to work for West Ada. And part of that is West Ada had the campaign, Love Where You Work, when I walked in here. And so we're really playing off that vibe and spreading that message. And making sure that our employees who currently work here are happy, because if they are happy and we retain them, it's only going to spread the word to other people.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really focusing on making ourselves an employer of choice in the region.
Well, as a current employee, that makes me super happy, right? Like wearing that Love Where You Work shirt is not just a gimmick. It truly is. Like Ken and I say it all the time. We have the best jobs ever. And I'm sure you guys probably feel the same.
Yeah. There's a lot of roles to fill. Well, and we kind of touched on this briefly, Carolyn, but like, what's your day-to-day like? I mean, you're here at 5 a.m. There's so many different substitute roles or jobs on any given day. How do you juggle all those balls? What does that look like kind of in your world?
So I get here and I take into account the unfilled positions for the day in Red Rover. That's our sub management software that we use.
Right.
And we really try first and foremost to see which school has the highest need for the day and try to support them the best that we can. So if Red Rover's not filling those positions, we're on the phone making phone calls, trying to get people there to support the building when the teachers are out.
Wow. So you really are like triage in a hospital. You're finding like the highest need, making sure that school gets filled. So you said if they're not filled in Red Rover, so does that mean that subs themselves can like self-select and fill in Red Rover in the app without you calling and filling those pieces?
Yeah. So when they enroll in Red Rover, they can set their preferences to what schools they want to work at, if they want to do elementary, middle, high school, or particular schools. So immediately when an absence gets input by either the secretary, myself, or the teacher, an alert goes out to anybody that has listed that school as a preference to try to fill that as quickly as possible. So the subs are getting alerts on their phone, they're getting messages. I have a way to communicate. If we have a really high need for the day, I'll send it out as a communication, like an alert to all subs as kind of a call to action that we need extra help for the day.
Wow. I haven't subbed in like 20 years, so a lot has changed since then. That sounds super convenient from the subs perspective.
It's a really intuitive software, and which is why we switched over to Red Rover. It has a better, higher fill rate, we hope, and that subs are able to, because they can set those preferences and take those jobs more quickly and efficiently.
Okay, gosh. Yeah. Well, okay, and I'm kind of switching gears big time, but like when so I've been here a little over about 3.5 years. When I was looking at this job, 4 years ago, I remember the application process being kind of a little janky.
Clunky.
A little janky. I mean, I'm just being honest, and I don't want to be, but like, what's the application process look like? How do we do that, Renee? How do we help people kind of navigate and figure out how to find the role they're looking for? What's that look like?
And now these are for full-time positions, or are you asking for sub too? Or
I'm asking more full-time to Renee, and we can ask them the same thing for.
It's very similar for both, I would say. We have everyone apply online through our system, and I agree, it is very clunky, and we are moving to a new system in this fall.
Yeah.
So more information on that.
And it was great. I got what I needed to do, but it was just, for me, it was a little tough 4 years ago or whatever. Yeah.
It's a clunky system, but we really need everyone to apply online, and then we focus on how do we spread the word. So we either post our positions on social media, on LinkedIn, really, again, just to spread the word and get our positions out in front of the right people.
Right.
And career fairs, too,
and career fairs. Oh, those have been huge.
Yeah.
Just going to the career fairs, working with my team on that. That's been great. We've got a ton of amazing candidates through career fairs. And if you need help with the application process, we walk you through that. So we do.
I'm one of those that needs help, so it was fine that it was, that's cool. What for the subs, is the application process kind of similar? What does that look like if you want to be a sub at West Ada? What's that look like?
So our first step is you go online and fill out the application at thewestada.org. You click on substitute position, and then substitutes apply here. Okay, so that's the basic part. Once they have submitted the online portion, we ask that they call HR. That will schedule their background check and their fingerprint appointment, which we have to have a clear background check for them to be in the classroom.
Of course.
Thank you as a parent.
Absolutely. Yes. So once we get that back, if they haven't had experience in a classroom, we require them to take a study course, which is just, it goes over tips and tricks for classroom management.
Which is huge.
It's huge, because if they've never been in a classroom, we want to set them up for success, right?
I think that's, as a sub especially, that's probably one of the biggest things. Like, how do I manage this room and accomplish what I want to accomplish, right? I would think that'd be a huge thing. Yeah.
We don't ever want them walking in there, uncomfortable or not knowing their role. So, and then lastly, we require them to attend an orientation, which is about a 4-hour meeting with Kristen and myself. And we go through the gamut of payroll procedures. I mean, everything you can think of, management tips and tricks, do's and don'ts. Jeff Stans comes in and does the safety portion for lockdown procedure, because it's really important. A sub's going to see a lockdown when they're in a school and what that looks like. And then we cover Red Rover and how they accept and take jobs and set their preferences.
Wow, it really has changed so much in 20 years. I love that.
There's a lot going on,
and sub positions are continuously available, right? Like people can always be applying, and please do. We will take all the subs we can get, right?
We need all the subs we can get. We could work you every day if you wanted to as a substitute.
Wow,
we always have work, so.
That's really
and
cool.
not just the whole day, right? Even if it's just a half day, someone could substitute.
Oh,
We'll take that as well.
Very flexible. We can work with them. We usually will contact the secretary if someone can work even a half day, because the school would rather have a partial day filled than no sub for the full day, because it's easier for the secretaries to piece together a half day than a full day. So
is it pretty frequent that we go without sub positions filled?
On an average day, I would say we have between 150 and 250 teachers out. And of that, the average number I would say is anywhere from 20 to 25 unfilled teaching positions. Today was really low. It was a good day. It was only like 5 unfilled.
Wow. Oh my gosh! Wow.
But
so you've got balls in the air every day.
Same thing with para. We go unfilled probably 20 para positions a day. So
maybe touch on that, because you do more than just filling teaching sub positions. What other substitute positions do you fill? So you said paras.
We've got special education teachers, paras, which there's different types of paras. We don't manage, but we've got the nursing staff in our system, counselors. So, yeah.
Well, and I think this, sorry to cut you
off. No,
it's
an absence management tracking system as well. So all employees go into Red Rover, whether they require a sub or not.
Right.
Well, I think this might be a question for either one of you, but when we see these awesome people who come in as substitutes or whatever, how do we help Renee, how do we help transition those folks into maybe a full-time position, or how does that look in your world?
Yeah, we always encourage opportunities. So if you don't have your teaching certificate and you've enjoyed being a sub and you want to make an impact on classrooms, you can apply for one of our paraprofessional positions. Depending on the amount of hours you work, if you work 20 or more hours a week, it'd be a benefited position.
Oh, that's really
nice.
Cool.
So that's the incentive to come over from the substitute side and start earning like our amazing benefits.
Right. And consistent schedule, because, sometimes subbing can not always be as consistent. But also, if you are a certified sub and you want to be in the classroom, keep an eye out for our teaching positions. We would love to have you in the classroom.
Well, I'm kind of jumping around here a little bit, so forgive me, but benefits. So my background, I was at TV stations most of my professional career, and so, gosh, I had some health stuff done the last 6 months, and our benefits, our insurance, like the stuff, I'm like, holy cow, this is so much better than when I was working at TV stations. Can you talk about benefits just a little bit? What's that look like?
Absolutely, yeah. So for benefits, if you are a certified teacher and you're working a 0.75 or more, you are entitled to the full comprehensive benefit package. And if you're a classified employee, it's if you work 20 hours or more. That's going to include medical insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, opportunity for short-term and long-term disability, and you'll be part of the PERSI retirement pension program, which is a huge perk.
Oh, yeah.
So West Ada we have an employer contribution on your behalf. So not only are you contributing to your retirement, so is West Ada.
Yeah, that's really
huge.
Cool.
It's a huge perk.
I'm curious too, because we talk about kind of like this longevity or projection through your career with West Ada, like growing. Carolyn, you're a prime example. You grew your career here over the last 10 years or 8 to 10 years. What does the professional development look like? What kinds of things do we offer our staff, and coursework, college credits, all that kind of thing? What do we offer?
Yeah, we have a huge focus on professional development. I think one of the big things is every Wednesday morning is professional learning centers, PLCs. So everyone's encouraged to get in your PLC group, whether it's your third grade pod at your school, whether it's the human resources team, whether it's exactly. So we have this time set aside where these groups can focus and collaborate and discuss strategies on how we best serve our students and the organization. On top of that too, we offer monthly training to our administrators, so our principals get leadership training monthly. We're really focused on developing people, because that's an investment. You're an employee and we're investing in you, and we want you to grow and stay here and be the best educator and version of yourself for our students.
Yeah, and it's super cool to see like the leadership cohorts that we have. So teachers who want to get into administration, and we have colleagues who will help teach some of those courses through the universities, and they can kind of grow their knowledge together that way too. And I just think it's a great opportunity.
Well, and Carolyn, I mean, Katie just alluded to this. I mean, how do you feel like your career trajectory, hard to say, how do you feel like your career trajectory has kind of gone in your life? I mean, you've kind of developed yourself. Would you agree to that? What's your reaction to that?
I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be in sub-placement because there's not a lot of classified positions that you can do that with. So right. I took a chance, and I'm really happy I did because I feel like it's been a really positive move for me financially and,
career balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Staying connected with your child's school just got easier. Introducing Rooms, a simple, secure communication tool that lets you receive updates directly from your child's teacher right on your phone. With Rooms, you can send and receive messages, view class announcements, and support your students' learning all in one convenient place. Getting started is easy. First, look for your invitation via email or text. Second, download the West Data app. Third, accept your invitation and you're in. You'll be ready to start communicating with your child's teacher in just a few taps. Please note, the use of Rooms is optional for teachers. While many classrooms will be using this platform, not all teachers may participate at this time. We encourage you to download the West Data app now so you're ready when your child's classroom connects through Rooms.
Renee, on the note of professional development, we also have a really cool program for our paraprofessionals to kind of move into teaching positions. You want to talk about that?
Absolutely. So we have a partnership with Idaho State University where we sponsor paraprofessionals to go through the program and get their teaching certificate in special education.
That's huge.
It's amazing. This year we sponsored 6 paraprofessionals. The previous year we sponsored 3, so we're growing the program.
Cool.
We've heard nothing but great things from the people going to the classes, and then they'll be hired on with West Data.
That's so cool. You know, you two may not know this, but I worked in teacher preparation prior to this. And so alternative routes to certification are huge and a great way to grow your own. I mean, grow your own is like a national conversation in teacher preparation.
Sure. Yep.
And if we take these paras who are already like knocking it out of the park in the classroom, loving what they do. Like, I wish we could have, you've probably done some spots on this, but like special ed paras have such a heart for our students. And to get them to be the teacher of record is such a benefit to our students and our community. So I love that we offer that.
No, it's super cool. And if you're listening or watching today, I will throw in the show notes. I've done a couple of stories. There was a story I did a couple years ago about paraprofessionals and what that looks like in the district. And then there's also a story on sub-placement. So anyway, cool. I'll throw those links into the show notes just so if you are listening or watching or you're thinking about being a sub or whatever, you can kind of see what that looks like. It's kind of it's pretty cool. There's some cool stuff for sure. Carolyn, compensation for subs. We didn't really get into the nitty-gritty of that. What does that look like? And I mean, certified versus non-certified. What's all that look like?
So certified versus classified. Certified in Idaho is considered if a person has a 4-year teaching certificate in either elementary ed, secondary, or special ed. And classified subs, we just require that they are 21 years of age to be in a classroom setting. They can sub as early as 18 in a para setting, and that they have done the steady course if they haven't had any previous sub experience or classroom experience. The pay for a daily rate of pay for certified is currently sitting at $110 a day.
Okay.
A half day would be $55. So if they did anything that's 2 hours to 4 hours and 15 minutes, that's considered a half day. Full day is anything more than 4 hours and 15 minutes. And so classified would receive $100 per day or $50 for a half day.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty good. And then there are some, I think you have like some bonuses or incentives, right? Didn't you mention that, like if they work so many days a month or?
Correct. We want to encourage them to work as many days as possible as they're willing to give. So if you work at least 10 days up to 14, you have an option of getting an extra $100 in your paycheck.
Wow.
And if you work 15 days or more in a given month, you can earn a potential of $200 total.
That's pretty cool.
I like these incentives.
Yes.
That's pretty
Is
cool.
that working pretty well? Does that entice people into wanting to work more?
Yeah, especially toward the end of the month. Some of our subs will reach out and they'll say, hey, I'm really close to hitting the bonus. Can you help
Let's do this.
place
Yeah,
me,
sure,
if they need extra support? And so we're totally willing to do that.
I'm just curious, and I may be going kind of off the cuff here, this question might be for both of you, but ensuring that we have appropriate adults in the classroom with our kids, right? Like what is, you mentioned background checks and things like that, but I assume when you have them come in for orientations and things like that, if you get an off feeling how do you navigate that?
That's a good question because it is hard.
It's a thing.
Yeah,
and it's not,
you want to make sure
easy.
they're good for the kids and for the environment. We certainly do the background check. It's a bit of interview process too, kind of going through the motions. We do reference checks.
That's
so
huge.
we do reference checks, look through that documentation. If there's things in there that we can't hire on, we won't hire.
Right.
And then we also work with employees and subs too to find the best fit for them. So perhaps if they're not thriving in an elementary environment, we might look at placing them in middle school or high school, something that works a little bit better, or
getting them in
where
the
they're
right
more
spot
comfortable.
to be successful. Sure.
Yeah, because not everyone has the skills to work with the elementary kids. They feel more comfortable around older kids.
Sure.
And that's kind of a benefit I have. My office is right next to our special education para recruiters, and so I hear their interviews, and kind of that it really is a thoughtful process of seeing where you fit best and talking to the administrators and the teachers and the paras and really ensuring that good fit. And so as a parent, I really appreciate that.
Yep. We want you to enjoy coming to work. So we want to make sure it's a good spot for you. I mean, we spend so much of our life at work. You should enjoy it.
100%.
Right.
Well, and orientation and onboarding, I don't care what organization you're working in, those are hard things to navigate. What does that look like? I mean, we've talked about this is a huge organization. What does that look like in your world, Renee?
A work in progress.
Sure. It's tough, yeah?
It is. We have my team, so Jennifer Fletcher and her team do an amazing new teacher orientation in June every year.
We get to be a part of that as the communications team, which is cool too.
Amazing. So I'm looking forward. It'll be my first rodeo with that one, but I'm looking forward to attending. They're working on a classified onboarding program for, I believe, August this year. It'll be new that will roll out, and we're really right now looking at how do we thoughtfully roll out onboarding and make sure that it's consistent for all our employees, because we want to make sure we're setting up everyone's foundation for success. We want to make sure you're ready to go on day one. You have that support system in place. You know who to call if you have questions.
Because there'll be questions. Sure, of course, yeah.
So it's, like I said, a work in progress. We're really working on developing it and fine-tuning it and making it a program that's just amazing.
I'm super excited about that because culture is something that's really important to me. And I think that orientation onboarding is really that first step in establishing culture. This is who we are. This is what we do.
It's our first impression that we make on them. On our new employees.
Yeah. Well, and Carolyn, well-being and stuff from your perspective. I know you've talked about this stuff a little bit already, but how do we help subs to feel comfortable and find those answers that they're going to invariably need? What's that look like in your world?
So we only get them for 4 hours in the very beginning at orientation. So we try to pack as much information into those 4 hours as possible.
Sure.
But we listen to our subs and feedback and what they're saying. A lot of subs this year, we've implemented adding some technology to our training because there was concern that subs would go into the classroom and not be able to know how to use, a dot cam or a Vivi.
Sure.
And so Katie Prebula and our data team put together this helpful video, and she's made herself and her people available to even substitutes, which is really great, not just employees and teachers.
Oh, yeah.
And so we've added that to our training. So we're constantly revamping and trying to make it better so we can, train to what their needs are and make sure that they feel nothing but successful when they go into the classroom.
Andrew rolled out the sub binder this year.
Yes, the sub binder was a big one. That's to give continuity across the board when a sub goes in, whether it's to an elementary, middle, or high school. They can expect to get from the secretary a folder that's got, a map of the school, a map of the classroom, sub plans, emergency sub plans, where the emergency exits are if there's a lockdown, all the
logistics, like the physical building. Yeah.
Correct. So we've tried, that's been new this year as well. So we're constantly looking for ways to improve our process.
Yeah, we really of a rock stars are the secretaries. I mean, like,
oh my gosh, shout out to our secretaries. They run that school. I joke in orientation, it's not our principals that run our school, it's our secretaries, because they know the comings and goings of everybody, and they're placing those subs, and they're constantly
and they're the first person that we see sometimes when we walk into school. That's a huge role.
Yeah. So we really value our relationships with them and try to foster really strong communication with them.
That's cool.
So.
And then
that's cool.
As far as finding a good fit for subbing, I imagine it's a little bit of trial and error just from my own experience. I remember going into subbing thinking like, there's no way in heck I'm going to do middle school or high school, like elementary only. And then I subbed for a week in a first grade classroom and I thought I was going to die. I've never been so tired in my life, right? And then I'm like, okay, well, I'll try middle school. And I loved middle school to my like absolute shock. So is that do you kind of encourage subs, or are people pretty like stuck like I will only do first through third? Or
well, you'll see a little bit of everything, but we really during training try to encourage. We also encourage, subbing as a para. If you've never subbed as a para before, some people are, intimidated by that just because they've never done it before.
Sure.
So we ask them to try it 3 times, and we ask them to try it at 3 different places so they can really get a feel for it. And then if it's not for them, we understand. We don't push it. That's why, there's flexibility in subbing. You can set your own days that you want to work, where you want to work, but we do ask them,
and find the right fit.
Find the right fit. Give it a try. Try it out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and I know we've touched on this, Renee. I mean, but work-life balance. I mean, we've talked about time off. There's all these great things, but how important is the work-life balance thing? Because it's a huge facet.
The most important.
Yeah.
The most important.
How do we help people kind of navigate some of that stuff?
Oh gosh. Work-life balance is certainly more of like a passion project for me as well too. So not only is it the time off, but encouraging people to take the additional time off that they accrue on top of these holidays. We still get sick leave, we still get vacation or PTO. I mean, those are your hours to use if you're not feeling well or if you need to take some extra time off with your family. Those are there. You earned them. Use them.
Sorry to interrupt you, but like when I read articles all the time. Like we as Americans in this country, we like compared to the rest of the world, we don't do that. We don't take PTO.
Yeah.
We don't.
I'm guilty.
I mean, right? Like it's a hard thing to do when you've got a great work ethic, but you also need to recharge batteries. Correct?
Yes. You need to be well rested because a well rested employee is going to come and be focused and ready to hone in on their craft and do a good job. I mean, we want to avoid the burnout.
Yeah.
We don't want burnt out employees because then you're disgruntled or frustrated, and then you end up on talking to me. And
right. Yeah.
Well, and I would just like to say to all of our staff who may be listening, you're hearing it from the head's mouth. Like your HR is telling you to take your time. Like try to set your guilt aside. You know what I mean? And use it. Use your time. It's there for a reason. It's not just a fake benefit.
Follow West Ada School District across your preferred social media channels: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Nextdoor, and YouTube. You can find us there today.
So a final thing I don't think we really touched on as far as employee benefits are concerned is our employee assistance program. And even, I've had those pretty much every job I've ever had, but I don't know really what it is.
And most employees don't, right? I mean, we don't dig into the minutia, but anyway,
Something we should be utilizing probably.
Absolutely. EAP, so Employee Assistance Program, is a great resource, and it's available to all employees, whether you are part-time or full-time. And in addition to it being available to all employees, it covers everyone in the household.
Oh.
So this
is huge.
It is huge benefit. This is a benefit where you can call 24/7 if you need like mental health resources, or if you need some counseling triage to be referred to a provider. EAPs also have resources if you have questions on financial planning, or if you're trying to find caregivers in the area. It's a really comprehensive, robust program, and you're right, not a lot of people know about it, and it's underutilized, but it's an amazing resources for those who need it.
Okay, so I've been guilty of that in the past, of not just kind of ignoring some of the cool things that we have, and you just do that, and
it's free.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's like a hotline, if you will.
Yep.
That you could call just a resource hotline for
resource
employees.
hotline. Yep. They do. They also usually have webinars like on nutrition or like financial planning or how to get physically active again. It's just a hub of wellness resources.
Mental
primarily
health,
focused on mental
well-being,
health.
and but the physical plays into the mental. At least in my world, it does. Yeah.
But it's a great resource. Usually, if off the top of my head, I can't remember. I think it's you get 6 counseling sessions. Like if you needed triage, and you could go through 6 counseling sessions, and if you need more than that, they refer you.
And I think it's per event. So if they
event,
find
correct.
a new event, they can keep going.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is a big
It's a
darn
big
deal.
benefit.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, and switching gears on us big time. I mean, Carolyn, long-term opportunities for subs. I mean, we've talked about kind of the day-to-day, but what does the long-term stuff look like for our subs?
Sure. So we have anywhere right now, I think we're managing something like 30 long-term leaves right now of teachers that either are out for, it could be maternity leave, mental health, medical, whatever it might be. And when they're out of their classroom, they turn to us to find a long-term sub. So my process, we will try to find first a certified sub, because it's been shown that when the teacher's out of the classroom, learning is lost.
Oh, sure.
So we really try to go with certified first, but if we can't seem to find anyone, we'll open it up to classified subs. And that just depends. Typically, it's anywhere from a couple weeks to we've had people out for 3 months, on a maternity leave. And then there's a potential that it could go longer if that person's doctor doesn't release them to come back, or if they choose not to come back after having a baby.
Right.
It just depends on the situation. So we really try to get someone consistent for the majority of that leave in there so that classroom learning is as stable as possible. And we do pay our subs. If they're certified, they are paid at a higher rate. They get $130 per day instead of the $110.
Oh, wow.
So
well, and I've talked to long-term subs who they ended up they loved the building. The building was a good fit, and they ended up being
might get hired.
Hired there, which is that's cool.
Another good resource for us is our student teachers. And maybe they didn't get hired at the beginning of the year, so we add them to our sub pool. And they're really solid because they just went through, 4 years of training, and they've done their student teaching in the classroom. And so oftentimes they might get hired later after subbing for a period of time in a classroom. So we've had schools poach a few of our, few of our subs and hire them. So that's great for them.
But that's good. I mean, what a great way as a new teacher to be able to kind of feel out a school, like and get that culture and right fit with the administration and
that's a
other
deal.
staff.
Yeah.
Well, Renee, and I know you touched briefly on Percy earlier, but like retirement planning, like helping employees navigate, like how do I plan my retirement? That's part of the equation as well, I would think.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, we're part of Percy. So if you're a benefited employee, you're contributing to Percy, as well as West Data contributing on your behalf. So that's going to help grow your retirement. It takes 5 years for you to be vested with Percy. So stay with a Percy organization and hit that mark.
Yeah.
But on top of that, we offer, we bring Percy on site and offer trainings, whether you're just a beginner and you haven't even really thought about retirement yet, and it's 20 years or so in the future, we have a class for that. We have kind of that mid-range, like it might be in the next 10 years and you're really starting to hone in on your planning. And then we offer, we bring Percy here to talk about, hey, it's going to happen in the next year to 3 years. Here's what you need to do.
So your goals change, your life changes, you got to be prepared at each step. Yeah.
Yep. And our benefits manager, she is great as well. A lot of our employees who are close to retirement meet with her and go over their options and look at what does retirement life look like for them.
Yeah.
So she consults with them. Her name is Keisha Lee. She consults with them and walks them through the process.
That's awesome. I was wondering if that was part. I still have about 15 years left before I can retire my Percy, but you do that is an option available, is to schedule an appointment with Keisha, and then she kind of goes over everything with you. And then Percy also offers that too.
Percy
you can make an appointment
consults.
to go down and meet them. Yeah,
and on top of that too, if you so choose, we have optional deferred compensation program. So if you wanted to contribute additional funds to a 403B or a 457, you can elect to do so, and you can just have it deferred from your paycheck into these additional retirement accounts.
That's cool.
Awesome. I do that.
Yeah.
This is the first job I've been able to, and I love it. I love watching it grow. And then the same thing with the with 529 college savings plans. You can have those come right out of your check, so it's not as so
you don't think about it.
You don't think about it. Yeah.
It's less painless.
And it's a big deal. Yeah, it's good to have that nest egg.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Carolyn, I mean, listen, I really do. I love where I work. I wear the shirt. I'm like, I really do. I love this job. I've had a bunch of different jobs in my life. I love my job, but there's no perfect organization. Carolyn, how do you listen to feedback from your subs? And how do you listen to, and because we're always trying to improve. What does that look like, in your world?
So our subs will do anything from send us an email. They'll pick up the phone and call us. They'll stop in occasionally during our office hours. And we really do try to listen to what they have to say on things that are going well and things that need improvement, which is why, for instance, we brought in the technology piece to our training.
Which I'm sure was a big deal for them.
Yes, because we want to set them up for as much success and want them to feel as comfortable as possible when they're filling in for that teacher. Yeah. So we're constantly, communicating with them, all sorts of methods, and listening to what they have to say to try to make our training better.
It's huge. Yeah. Well, and from a much bigger standpoint, feedback's got to be harder for you. Harder might not be the right way to express that, but it's got to be
challenging to collect.
I mean, it's got to be challenging for you in your role. Right?
So West Ada rolled out experience surveys, and we sent those to staff, parents, and students, and collected back that information. And the executive team has been combing through it. We've used that feedback to help set up our goals for next year and what we want to focus in each of our areas. And then on top of the experience surveys, I mean, my inbox gets feedback. There's feedback to the team. We're always trying to collect everything
Phone
we
calls,
can.
all the things,
and collaborating. So, what are you hearing out there? What kind of feedback are you getting, or input are people providing? What training are people interested in? And we really try and be thoughtful about that feedback and roll it out in the best way possible for everyone. So.
That's something I notice, and I think people should know that we really do. Our teams are constantly talking, reviewing data, looking to improve, because there's always room to improve. And I think that's really impressive that we're not a stagnant organization.
And it's been fun in my role because, as we mentioned, I'm 6 months in. I am collecting all the feedback, and I am trying to put my own spin on all the programs and making
drinking from the fire hose, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So while maintaining your work-life balance, right?
Exactly.
All easy things, Well, we just appreciate you guys being here. I mean, it's so nice to have competent professionals who are dealing with hard things. I mean, the sub placement every day, I can't imagine, Carolyn. It's just great to have you all.
It keeps it fun.
Yeah. Never a dull day,
Never a dull moment.
Right.
Is there anything, what have we not touched on? Is there anything, before we say goodbye, is there anything that we haven't touched on that you're like, hey, Ken, Katie, we should have talked about X, Y, or Z?
I'll just put a plug. We're in the midst of certified hiring season. So we are looking for teachers right now. So if you are interested in applying and being a teacher with West Ada, throw your hat in the ring. This is hiring season. We try and get all our hiring done before we head out for the summer. Not to say that we still won't have positions and stuff over summer available, but now is the time to apply if you're interested in working with us. So
Really cool.
I would
Probably same for
piggyback
subs,
that. I mean, we're always looking for subs and the jobs that go unfilled daily. So we could definitely find work for people that want to work, and just how much we appreciate our current subs and the job that they do.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Well,
Thank you for what
thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
for
time.
having
Thank you
us.
for having us. Yes.
Great having
this
you
was
here.
fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, as always, two colleagues who are so good at what they do. And listen, we said it, there's no perfect place to work, but when you're striving to hear from people and get better, that's what they do.
Continuous improvement is huge, right?
Sure.
And we are lucky to benefit from that continuous improvement and collaboration. So it was just another great conversation where we get to learn kind of the nitty-gritty of different positions.
The behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, thank you as always for joining us. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, whether Spotify, Google, or Amazon. If you listen on iTunes, please rate us and leave a review. Or you can always, if you want to watch, you can watch and subscribe on YouTube to watch the podcast. I'm a listener guy myself, but I know some people really love to watch it, and so we love having you be
out there on the
podcast.
YouTube.
Out there on the YouTube, as the kids say, anytime you want it. Today's question, and I really want to hear back from you all. What do you see as the biggest HR challenge and opportunity facing West Ada in the next 5 years? Because, again, how do we improve? Where do we change how we're doing and make things better? So we'd love to hear you on social media, or you can send us an email at communicate@westada.org. We would love to get your feedback there. And our next podcast, we're doing another Pulse.
Love the Pulse podcast, and I have to say this is a double-edged sword, bittersweet for me, because I love getting to co-host with you. But our next Pulse podcast will be from the We Are West Ada Staff Recognition Awards, and I have the honor of getting to put that event on. And
you're going to be a little bit
be a little busy
that
from
night.
that. Yeah, but I'm excited for you to highlight how well we celebrate our amazing staff here in West Ada. It's a night, there's about 315 people in the room. We do a lovely dinner and award ceremony, and it's just a great way to celebrate our colleagues.
It's going to be wonderful. We're going to have Dr. Bub and an administrator and a teacher on to kind of talk about the night. But you're right, and it's something we haven't been doing for very long. But what a cool night!
Yeah, and those Pulse podcasts. Just a pro tip, like whenever you see a Pulse podcast, watch that one on YouTube because it's the background, it's the environment, the visuals are so good on it.
It'll be a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to recognize the amazing people who work in West Ada. So that'll be a lot of fun on April 25th. And again, thank you to Renee and Carolyn.
Yep.
Just amazing at what they do, and thank you for being here as always to listen, to watch. We want to hear from you, and we want to keep on having these conversations, and just appreciate your time. So thanks, and we'll see you April 25th.